Hello, this is my final. Doing a re-recording right now because I found a bug that I had to fix real quick. That I noticed with the Goombas. If I stored them in a single parent object, for some reason the save data I had for them wasn't actually applying. So I might look into that after I wrap this up. But what I have here works a little bit messy because the Goombas are all out instead of just stored in one object like the environment is. But that's okay. But yeah, I'll just show what the game over condition looks like, the win condition, and just the general gameplay while I play through it, and I guess some of the game rules. So you're confined to this one space, right? You can't get out of here. Um, it's pretty much just a little Mario level I made. So yeah, you can kill Goombas. There's usually Goombas right here, but certain save data is stopping them from appearing. You just die. And some of the sprites look a bit rough because I uh, went out of my way to make some of them because there's not a lot of actual sprite sheets for this game because Mario in this game is actually a 3D model, not a 2D sprite, which is pretty interesting to learn about. But yeah, so here we go. So this is when I die. Plays a little music like in the game, and then I can press start. And then my lives reset, my coin count resets, but this score is forever. This score stays, no matter what. It should persist the whole time. That's how it is in the actual game. You have a score that'll just persist through your whole playthrough to see like your final score once you beat the game or continue to play. Oh, fell down. Goes up by killing enemies and getting coins. And here's the flagpole. A little animation plays. And there's the win condition. You basically just get to the flagpole and that's how you get the win condition. Now, the thing about that animation that was just shown, that was completely programmed. There's actually, the only thing the animator does there is change it from the holding flagpole state to the running state, but the actual movement was done completely through a script. That just seemed like the best way to me because I was already kind of familiar with like moving a character through like node base points. So there's a point here and there's a point towards the castle over there. Oh, oh yeah. I'm also pretty happy with how I created the sound for the flagpole going down. I basically made it so it cuts shorts if you reach the point of the bottom of the flagpole early. So I'm actually going to go over some of my stuff now. I'll go over my analysis for the flagpole music thing, or the sound effect. It's just in an enumerator. I took a picture of it here to find it, so it starts on line 347. I think I added something extra here afterwards involving with the bug. But it's just one extra line changing the rigid body type because there was a problem with move towards and having it be dynamic, so I had to temporarily switch it out. Um, but basically, I reference Game Manager Final and data persistence because my Game Manager Final is basically like the singleton that handles a lot of the information in the game, which might not be the greatest choice, but it seemed pretty effective here at least. It's pretty good. Parent.child count. Parent is just the object containing the nodes, which would be actually right here. So these are my two nodes. There's one at the bottom to get to the bottom of the flagpole. There's one at the castle to get over here to the castle. So that's what it's looping through. I used a for loop in particular just because it seemed like the simplest way, I guess, in my head. I used a for loop and then have two conditions. One where if it's the second one, second index, which would be the one to the castle, just change it to the run animation so it looks like he's running even though he's just kind of moving towards like a very stiff motion. There's no like physics to it because the rigid body becomes of static type during this whole little move period. But then it goes back to being dynamic at the end. Uh, Also because it was giving me a lot of warnings if I didn't do that. Um, so yeah, do that, loop through it. Pretty much just the while loop runs until it reaches the node that it's looking at. So it checks the distance between this object and the target, which is whatever child we're at. But yeah, right here you can see it actually cuts the flagpole sound early. So it plays it here and then it cuts it using just some centralized thing I made to play sounds and music and whatnot. So I play the sound pull here, flagpole, stop it here early. If it reaches this point early, it'll go to this immediately to have a little bit delay before the victory music. And yeah, then it'll just do this. And then once it starts running, then it'll play his Mario's victory music. And yeah, well, this is Mario's dialogue. The victory music's down here. But yeah, that's how I made that system. And it starts right here. Uses this and it makes it true. So it doesn't run again, just in case it somehow activates twice. But yeah, this is the victory It's pretty much just handled with the on-collision enter 2D and a comparison check. This recording's getting a little long. Sorry about that. I'll try to speed this up. Here's my analysis of my data persistence final. So the script controls loading and saving important data like the player's score, player's last known location, victory. I don't actually think I demonstrated that. I'll demonstrate that while talking. But yeah, it stores player score. It also stores the fact if Goombas were stomped on or not and remembers that. So here, I'll stomp on this one right here. Leave the game and I'll spawn right in that position. And the Goomba won't be there anymore. At least he shouldn't be if it's loading properly. Yep, he's not there. And just to show it, let me close these older copies right here. You could see there's my scores and whatnot, my lives, my score. And yeah, false. So they're not alive. So in the start of the game, they won't be loaded in. The rest of them are true though. So the rest of them will be loaded in. So it's pretty that simple. Yeah, that's where I'm saving my data, that little JSON file. Okie dokie. But yeah, pretty good for the. Oh, Mario died. If you die, you just can sit back to the start, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. That's the gameplay loop. So for my persistence, my data persistence, a lot of it's public, and I made an instance of it so I can reference it from anywhere. So like over here, I was able to save and load data right at the end of this. If you're to beat the game, right? Because I don't want you to load like near the flagpole. I don't want you to load like beyond it. That's uncharted territory that the player isn't meant to get to. So I made sure to save the game immediately and restart game stats before that, which basically makes it so the stats get set to pretty much their defaults. And then this sets the player just back to spawn pretty much. It's kind of hard coded. I probably should have put this a part of restart game stats. Probably makes sense because this only really runs when you lose or win. But I just kind of put it here because it seemed relatively simple. Next time I probably should keep it as clean as possible though. But yeah, all my public members are my save game, my load game, my instance, so I can access it from anywhere. My objects found, this is for developer's sake, so I can see which objects are of mementos type. So these two are kind of the same almost. Uh, at least you could see it more if I were to look. Oh, oh God, soon as my code. If I were to look at like load game and whatnot, you could see it being used right here to pretty much just find anything that has that component and it's not null. And I just added on there to see basically what I find because I find it pretty helpful, at least in my opinion. The only thing that is private, I guess, are my start and update. Mostly just because they're not really needed. They don't need to be referenced, right? There's no necessary need for them. No reason to have extra things for no reason. So start is just like on load, right? It'll load the data. Update is primarily meant for developer reasons. Like if you wanted to hard save or hard load something, then you would use this. But yeah, overall, that's pretty much everything. How I would recommend a developer or another programmer use my API is pretty much if they wanted to add on to it, they would probably want to play around with the update method or load function. I mean, update method, sorry, the save function and load function. If they just simply wanted to reference it, they would use the instance of it. I would highly recommend using the instance variable I created in order to load or save data onto the JSON that's being created, or that will be created if you can't find one. But yeah, I would primarily look in there. Uh, it's pretty simple. Uh, yeah, I use a singleton pattern pretty much to control it. I have that instance there. It's not a part of Game Manager. I thought I'd keep it separate, I guess. Maybe next time I'll centralize it and put it in there too. Oh yeah, and the editor play mode monitor, I almost forgot to talk about that. That basically just simulates on application quit, which is something that only really runs on builds of projects and not in the editor, so it's not really good for testing and while you're developing. So I started using that and basically it runs the same thing as this, just in the editor. So it's pretty helpful for development when you're not like so I don't have to constantly make builds to see if it's working or not or working or not. But yeah, I feel like it's a good example of API on a small scale, but I think this probably wouldn't scale well. I feel like I'd probably need to tweak a couple things and make a few changes to ensure that it has good scalability. I don't know what those changes are, in all honesty, but I just feel like this is way too simple to just work, I guess. Maybe I'm overthinking it though. A lot of the times I feel like I tend to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Apologies for the really long recording. I just wanted to get as much information there to, I guess, show my understanding and whatnot, because there was a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Thank you. Feedback is always appreciated, and this is incredibly fun to make. I'm really happy with how it came out, even though I didn't accomplish all I wanted to do. Okay, uh, goodbye.